Listen, I want to make sure that we think long term as it relates to cash flow and generating wealth. And the reason why I say that because, being that many of us were a part of BG Wealth Sharing, what has happened is we've looked for things to happen fast, things to be get rich quick, so to speak. Not that you shouldn't get rich quick. Do not mistake what I'm about to say, because getting rich as fast as you can actually is beneficial to life, because I don't believe we were supposed to be chasing money for the duration of our lives and then we plan to enjoy it when we're retired in a time where we don't have as much energy as we once had. I believe that's a setup. I don't believe God designed life like that. We need to get money out of the way as an issue, find the different ways that can produce money in strategic, passive, but maintained by maintenance ways. Find those ways and avenues to get money out of the way. The sooner you do it, the better. So I'm all about a person getting finances out of the way as an issue. Now, if a person gets rich in their earlier years, it's a good chance they may squander it because they didn't quite respect it, because it came to them earlier, came to it easy. If you get rich in later years and you know certain things that you've done previously, you may be more qualified to maintain and hold on to that money. It all depends on the individual, but this is something that a mentor of mine taught me a long time ago, and it actually makes a ton of sense. It says that your money pretty much won't ever remain. Say you got rich, say you became a millionaire, it won't remain if your level of personal development has not reached the level of the money. So if you end up accumulating more wealth than your personal development has made it to, then you'll end up losing the money altogether anyway. However, if you get to a place to where your personal development has reached a certain level, when you get that money, you're more likely to keep that money, grow that money, maintain that money, and not reverse. Not to say that you should get rich late or later in life, but just developing the personal development and the mentality of sustaining and appreciating and being strategic with money is something that will allow you to keep your money. Why is that important, and how does that align with what I'm about to say? The asset that I am going to be doubling down on and speaking more on, and then just giving insight, just nuggets here and there so you can be understanding the importance of this asset, is XRP. I'm gonna give you 4 things that I really want you to understand and how it's being adopted on a grand scale behind the scenes, what they don't want you to know or really have an understanding of, and knowing that it wasn't really meant for individuals. This particular asset, I know you probably heard of it, you probably heard a ton of different things about it. Those of you who have been rocking with XRP, then you know everything I'm about to say, probably, and some. You can, share your thoughts and perspectives down below. But a lot of people still don't know. It's only gonna be a small percentage of people who actually own XRP due to the limits of availability that exists within XRP, number one, and due to the big companies, institutions, and individuals who's going to want to own it, which will take it out for the exchange, what makes it no longer available for individuals to have in their portfolio anyway. So I feel like it's something that you want to make sure you have in your portfolio as soon as possible, and keep accumulating it over time, so that way when it does reach a certain status of notoriety and high use case and high need, you're in position, you have ownership of it, and that's what's going to separate you from others. But think about it from a long-term standpoint. Don't just look at it from an angle of, okay, it's this amount, when is the price of it going to go up? Just know the things that I'm going to share, plus things I'll continue to share, are things that are happening that will inevitably put XRP in position to do what you want it to do. But think long term, like think 5 years down the line. I know sometimes that's hard to think about, but that's why I set the stage for thinking from a long term angle, not just a right now, this month, this year perspective, and you'll thank yourself later. And I'll say this. These are one of the assets that a lot of times when people acquire assets or buy stocks, they're looking at it to hit a certain dollar amount so they can sell it for dollars, fiat currency, not something that doesn't have real deal value other than the value that we give it. With something like an XRP, if you own it, you can borrow against the asset, meaning you never sell it or never get rid of it, or if you liquidate some, that's on you, but you never sell it because you're able to leverage the fact that you own it and use that leverage to acquire assets, cash flow, or income producing cash flow type assets. I'll say that. But let's go over these 4 things because I want you to be thinking long term in the mindset of, okay, going forward, not thinking from the BG Wealth sharing mindset. What can I be doing to make sure that I get rich for sure, in a sense? Not get rich quick, but position yourself to get rich almost for sure. I say that because there's no guarantees. Everything has risk. This is not financial advice, none of that. But I'm gonna give you the 4 things that I want you to consider, and then you do what you want with that information. All right, so let's dive into the 4 things pertaining to XRP and why I'm thinking more long term with this asset. So number 1, it's the bridge to connect every currency in the world. Think about that. The bridge to connect every currency. So simply put, imagine if a bank in Japan wants to send money to a bank in Brazil. Right now, they have to trade Japanese money into US dollars, then into Brazilian money. That can take days. In a world that people are trying to move like this, technology is speeding up, that can take days. But XRP acts like an instant translation bridge. They turn Japanese money into XRP for 4 seconds, send it instantly, and it pops out as Brazilian money on the other side. No waiting, no middleman. That is different. And when you think about it like that, how many other currencies can be exchanged in fast speed at a lower cost that doesn't take long and can position people to do what they need to do with that money from a liquidity standpoint that could be costing them millions by not being able to do it at that fast? Imagine it was some things that they needed to do within a 72-hour time frame. Well, if it takes 72 hours to get the money, you missed out on day 1, day 2, day 3 profit potential based on whatever money you were trying to, or whatever you were trying to do with the money. And I'm thinking, don't think from your lens, think from a big institution, big bank perspective, and things that they may want to do with money as they send it across different exchanges or exchange it across different currencies. Now, this is something I haven't heard anybody speak on, but I'm sure, when you think about it, if XRP operates as a bridge and is keeping banks from having to go through so many different current exchanges like the Japanese into US dollar, then to Brazil, this may take some liquidity out of the Forex market, because if they can go through XRP without going through different exchanges, then it has to be some liquidity that's likely lost in the Forex market once this happens. Now, there's plenty of liquidity in Forex, so it's not something that's going to go away, but something to think about. I'll just say that. So it serves as the bridge to connect every currency in the world. That's powerful. That's something you want to consider having ownership in, because it's a necessity for big institutions. Don't think individuals. They didn't make this for individuals. Think of people who move big sums of money and how much in time and money it'll cost them to move that money. But then a protocol such as XRP positions them to be able to do it. Very important. Number 2, the big banks are quietly changing the rules. See, while we look at certain things that are happening and we kind of overlook it, behind the scenes, the banks are getting in position for this global wealth transfer. The transfer of wealth is still happening. Just a matter of being on the right side. So, simple breakdown. Behind the scenes, the entire global banking system is upgrading its technology. By November, it is said that the core networks that move trillions of dollars every day. That's why I said think in terms of institutions. They're moving trillions of dollars around every day. Every day. Not every year, not every month, not every week, daily. So the core networks that move trillions of dollars every day, called Swift and Fedwire. Swift is a known one in terms of moving money around. Fedwire is a known one. They're switching to a strict new language standard called ISO 20022. Look into that if you care to do so if you haven't already. Well, XRP was built from day 1 to speak this exact banking language. While people look at regular crypto, the biggest financial players are quietly rewiring the world to fit technology like XRP. So even though they may not choose XRP specifically, some of them have already chosen XRP, and it's just a matter of time before other institutions catch up. And I just want you to have some of this in your portfolio from a long standpoint. Again, not financial advice, but Hopefully you get the picture that I'm painting. Number 3, it has a permanent green light from the government. Simple breakdown, most cryptocurrencies are like cars driving without a license. The government could pull them over or shut them down at any moment. Well, XRP went to federal court, fought the long battle, and won. It was a long battle. A lot of the people that were XRP, people who were vouching for XRP got out of XRP because they're like, it's over. They sold this and that. But it's still a great opportunity because XRP is like, at the time of this recording, less than $1.50 per coin. And some people say if you own at least $1,000, that could set you up financially for wealth. Some say, own much, 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 much more. But just something to think about with it only being less than $1.50, under $2 for sure at the time of this recording. So they fought the battle, they won. It is the only major digital asset in America with an official legal green light stating that retail buyers can safely own it. Institutional giants like Goldman Sachs are already launching multi-million-dollar funds for it because it's legally safe. See, sometimes banks just need approval, the green light to say, okay, you give me the green light because I don't want no problems. I don't want to get in no trouble. Oh, they got the green light. And now entities like Goldman Sachs get in position for this. So if it's good enough for their massive amount of funds, could it possibly be a smart investment for you and I? Number 4, true ownership means you are the bank. And this is why I said earlier, you don't want to be thinking just from an angle of I own it and now I'm just going to hurry up and sell it for some more fiat currency that isn't backed by anything. The US dollar doesn't do anything. Like if the US dollar went away and somebody had a stack of dollar bills, a stack of hundreds, a stack of 20, whatever the case may be, it does nothing in and of itself. It's just that we agree it has value. Other than that, what can you do with it? Make a paper airplane? What could you literally do with it? The currency itself. So thinking from that angle should make you think about ownership of an asset differently. So that way you're not just so quick to sell it just because the price of it went up. No, you want to own it and you could take a loan against it and still keep it. That's a heavier strategy, but those are the types of conversations that can, put you in a position to never lose the asset while still getting access to cash flow and things of that nature when needed as these type of assets appreciate. But simple breakdown, it says Bitcoin and Ethereum are great for saving and building smart apps, but they aren't designed to handle the fast-paced plumbing of global banks. More importantly, when you hold XRP in your own wallet, you aren't trusting an online manager or a website like the old platform. You own a piece of the actual global financial network. So you're holding a real digital asset that nobody can delete or lock behind a hidden fee. So with that being said, do you agree, disagree? Are you already a owner of XRP? Will you be accumulating XRP? Were you in XRP, got out of XRP? Now you're considering tapping in and staying in, thinking long term with XRP? Are you planning on just doing your homework, doing your due diligence? Where do you fall in this category? But this is something I want to touch on and highlight certain things as they're happening on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis so you can see what's happening. Because sometimes your conviction is developed over time, hearing it over and over and over again and realizing, oh, this is happening. But don't think about it from this is going to blow up next week. Could it? Possibly. Don't think about it's going to blow up next year. Could it? Possibly. But I want you to think more long term so you can be accumulating and be in position to have an asset that big institutions will need in the direction that finances as a whole in the world is going. Let me know your thoughts below. Mr. Smith, signing out. Salute.